Hello, today I'm sharing my 10 top skin-like foundations. These foundations truly look like skin, but provide a little more coverage than you would get from, say, a typical BB cream, CC cream, or tinted moisturizer, and a lot of them provide more longevity and wear better throughout the day. I have options here for all skin types, all price points, and various coverage levels. There are so many times when I need some extra coverage, but I don't want to look like I'm wearing foundation at all. I really genuinely want it to look like my natural skin. Every single one of the foundations in this video could potentially fool people into thinking it's your skin, or at least have them guessing as to whether you're wearing foundation or not underneath your makeup, depending on how you apply them. Now, this is an update from my top 5 skin-like foundations that I did last year. 2 of those have been discontinued, and I have some new favorites that I needed to recommend because they're fantastic. Welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, welcome. If you are not subscribed yet, I would love it if you would consider hitting that subscribe button before the end of this video if you do enjoy it. Okay, let's get into these 10 fantastic skin-like foundations. I'll be inserting clips of all of these foundations on my face standing in front of a window or in daylight just so you can see them close up. And if you're not familiar with my skin type, I do have oily combination skin, but I can get some surface dehydration, a little flaky sometimes because I am on prescription tretinoin. So I do have a runner-up in this video. It's the same runner-up I had in the last video, but you're getting a bonus. You actually get 11 foundations instead of just 10. There's a reason why it's a runner-up for me, but also there's a reason why I wanted to include it in this video. And I do see why so many of you love it the way you do. This is the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue Foundation. This is $45 for 1.18 ounces. There are 28 shades. I'm in the shade 2W1 Dawn, which is the same shade that I wear in Estee Lauder Double Wear. Now, I have a video on how to apply Estee Lauder Double Wear, the regular Estee Lauder Double Wear. If you haven't seen that, it's helped a lot of people with how to apply it naturally and so it doesn't look cakey or heavy. I'll have that link down below. This is supposed to be a very nourishing, hydrating foundation that's supposed to soothe redness and irritation and be long-lasting. It's got vitamin E and some antioxidants in it. It does also have SPF 45 in it, which I don't really pay attention to in a foundation because you have to gob a foundation on your face to get adequate sun protection, but it's in there, and it offers blue light protection, which I do care about because I'm in front of my computer a lot. So this is fairly runny. It doesn't set too quickly. You have plenty of time to blend it out. It applies very quickly. I would say it's buildable from light medium to medium coverage, and on my skin, right after application, before I set it, it looks really dewy, and it also does not blur the pores on its own, which is not a deal breaker for me. You know, social media leads us to believe that no one has pores. So we're all looking for the latest and the greatest to completely conceal our pores, but skin does have pores. It doesn't enhance them or make them look worse. It just doesn't completely blur them out. I can apply this with any method and it looks great. Now, once my makeup is on, after it's set with powder and everything, because I do have to set with powder because of my oily T-zone, it gives a radiant finish. And that's what a lot of people really love about this, especially as we get a little bit older. It feels very hydrating. And for me, on my skin, in my climate, I can kind of start to feel it as the day goes on. It's not a bad feeling, but I can kind of feel this foundation. Now, if you have normal to dry skin, that may not bother you. There is also a fragrance to this. I think it's from the SPF that's included. I get pretty shiny in my T-zone with this throughout the day. My makeup still looks good though, even though I have to blot and kind of touch up with blotting powder. It doesn't break up or look weird during the day. I also have a vertical forehead line here that sometimes foundation can accentuate or, you know, crease in, and this can crease in that forehead line. So even though there are a few negatives for me, I still wanted to put it in this video because it is so beautiful and skin-like, and I can see why so many of you love it for your skin type, even though it might not be the perfect foundation for my oily T-zone in my hot, humid climate. I think it's definitely worth looking into if you are, you know, not 20 anymore, you want something that's good for more mature skin, and maybe with any skin type and you live in a drier climate, or you just have normal to dry skin. I think this is really pretty. For the most part, I'm going to try and go in coverage level order, which can be a little bit difficult as we go along because there is some overlap, but I'll do the best I can. And I do have 2 foundations in here with the most versatile coverage of all of the foundations that can take you basically from almost sheer coverage almost all the way up to full. So I'm going to bookend this top 10 with those two foundations. So the one at the start is Dior Backstage foundation. If you follow me, you know how much I adore this foundation. It is one of my holy grail foundations of all time, if not the holy grail. It's hard for me to commit to one holy grail, but this might be it. There are 1.6 ounces in this little bottle, which is more than you get with typical foundations, and it's $40. So you actually get a lot for that $40. There are 40 shades, and I have two bottles here because I fluctuate my shades throughout the year. In winter, I am 2 in summer, I'm 2.5 in, and I'll mix the two at various levels during the year. I don't mind having two bottles because I use this so much. This is versatile for any skin type, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of makeup artists really like it. It is also waterproof and sweat resistant. So when we're talking longevity, this has it. This is very watery. It blends out so easily, and it does give you time to work with it. This is another foundation you can use any method to apply it depending on the coverage level you want. Now this foundation is different from most others that I've ever tried in that you can apply the tiniest amount and get sheer coverage, or apply a little bit more and get medium to full coverage, and your coverage is buildable, yet it doesn't build up on your face. It stays looking like skin. It almost melds into your skin in this magical way. But even when you apply that small sheer amount, you still get nice coverage. I just don't even know how to explain it. It just applies so thinly, and it never ever gets cakey. It just meshes with your skin, and it blurs the pores so beautifully. And it's also versatile in terms of finish. So I'm not gonna say this is a radiant finish or it's a matte finish. It really depends on the primer I'm using underneath it, as well as the powder. It's lightweight, it's long lasting through heat and humidity. And because of the versatility in coverage and finish, it's perfect for any occasion, from running errands all the way through some kind of, dressy event. And it's great if you have to go from day to night. Now there is a scent to it. You will notice that, but I do not notice it after it's applied to my skin. It's just so beautiful. I wear it a ton. It shows up in my top video list, various ones for various reasons, because it's just that good. For those of you that are here for the drugstore options, they are coming up. I'm just not at that coverage level yet, but I promise I do have drugstore options in here, as well as a lower priced option that's available at Sephora. Next up is the McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation, which is very polarizing. I find people either love this or they can't stand it. But I have a theory on why people don't like this foundation. I'll get to that in a minute. So this is $68 for 1.18 ounces of product. There are 35 shades, and I am light medium 13. This has a Vita Serum Complex that is supposed to moisturize and help fight the appearance of wrinkles. So if you're someone who likes getting some added benefits from your foundation, this is a good one for that. This is a runny foundation, but it's another one that blends out easily and applies quickly. I think the main reason why a lot of people don't like this foundation, or were maybe expecting something different from it, is because this gives sheer to light medium coverage. This is not a medium full coverage foundation. And I think when people saw that Pat McGrath launched a foundation, they were expecting a, kind of full coverage foundation, and they didn't get that. Or, they thought it might build to that, and it just doesn't. This is one of those foundations that is supposed to enhance your skin and make it look better, but that's one of the reasons why I really like it. On my skin, right after application, this looks kind of like a satin matte finish, and after I set it, after my makeup is done, it turns into this really pretty soft matte finish. It looks great on the pores. It gives the skin just a beautiful enhanced appearance. It doesn't conceal everything. It evens out the skin nicely and provides some coverage. And if I want more, I can spot conceal. It's just that kind of foundation that really gives a beautiful look to the skin. My skin also feels really nice when I wear this, and yet it's super lightweight. I don't notice it when I'm wearing it, but my skin just feels good. Now I do need to blot my T-zone during the day a couple of times, nothing major. My makeup looks great all day when I wear this. This is a fantastic skin-like sheer to light medium foundation that feels good and is long wearing, and I think it's really great for any skin type. Next up is the Bite Beauty Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation. This is $44 for 1 ounce of foundation. There are 32 shades, and I am in the shade M55. This has antioxidants as well as micellar technology to nurture the skin. And this one, as opposed to the others that I've talked about, has a whipped moussey texture. But it's also quick and easy to apply, just like the other ones that I've talked about. This covers really nicely. It's buildable from light to medium coverage. And I believe they say it's buildable, but I don't find that it builds well on top of itself. So for me, when I say light to medium coverage, that depends on the method that you use to apply it. I get more coverage with my fingers or a brush, and I get less coverage with a damp sponge, and a little bit more coverage with a dry sponge. But it applies really nicely with all of those methods. This settles into just a beautiful natural finish. It's not really matte, it's not really radiant, it's just a gorgeous natural finish, and it feels like nothing on the skin. Regarding pores, I don't think it blurs them fully, but it blurs them just enough to where they look really nice, but your skin still looks like skin. I mean, that's what this video is all about. I feel like my skin looks really nice and healthy every single time I wear this. It also wears really nicely throughout the day. It lasts a long time. This is another one that I think is great for any skin type, from oily all the way to dry. It doesn't ever enhance any of my dry flakies. I think a lot of people overlook this. It's underrated, and I love it. Every single foundation in this video, except for this next one, I have either done a single foundation review on, it's been in a foundation roundup where I've reviewed it, or I've applied it up close in some kind of a get ready with me or trying new makeup or something like that. This is a newer foundation for me that I was actually testing out to go in a foundation roundup, but it has to be in this video because it's a great skin light foundation. This is the Sephora Best Skin Ever foundation. This is $20 for 0.84 ounces, so you get a little bit less in this bottle. There are 50 shades, and I am in the shade 25N. Now, it says it's supposed to provide lasting hydration while covering imperfections. It's clinically shown to reduce signs of stress and fatigue, and it's supposed to make your skin smoother, more even, and radiant if you use it over time. It's also got an anti-pollution protective shield. This one is on the thicker side. It's not runny at all, but it's not moussey like the Bite Beauty Changemaker. It's just on the thicker side, but it's quick to apply, easy to blend out. I would say it's buildable from light to medium coverage, and I end up with this kind of soft satin matte finish, if that even makes sense. I guess I would call that a demi matte finish. It looks really nice on my pores. This is very lightweight on the skin, and I would say it's somewhat long wearing if I wear it on its own. If I want it to be longer wearing, I do need to wear a primer underneath it, just with my skin type and the climate that I'm in. This is really pretty and skin-like. I'm so glad that I tried it. Now, the one thing that I will say is that, you know, when I check in on my face during the day, my little forehead expression line, every now and then, it kind of just depends on the primer, or if I've been outside a lot, I'll notice it can gather in that forehead line. But if I just take my finger and kind of, you know, smooth it out, it's fine. It doesn't take away any of the foundation. I just love the way this applies, the way it looks, the way it wears. It's just lovely. So thank you all for asking me to try this. You were right. I did need to, and I do just love the way it looks on the skin. And I think if you're looking for something that's a little bit less expensive than high end, that gives a lovely natural skin-like finish no matter what skin type you have, this is another winner. So now we're at the point in the coverage level where we have a drugstore foundation. This is the Revlon Photo Ready Candid Foundation that I feel like a lot of people talked about for a while, and it's kind of died down because new foundations come out, but it doesn't mean this is any less good. This is $10.99 for 0.75 ounces. There are 31 shades, and I am in the shade 300 Dune. This is another one that offers some antioxidant, anti-pollution, and blue light protection. The texture of this is very similar to the Sephora Best Skin Ever. It's not runny at all. It just kind of, you know, hangs out there on the hand when I turn my hand up, but it applies very easily, very quickly. I know I'm a broken record, but that was kind of part of the criteria for this. This is buildable from light to medium coverage, and I would say this gives kind of a soft, natural, velvety matte finish. This is one of those foundations that looks nice and natural on the pores. It doesn't conceal them fully, but it doesn't enhance them either. They look really nice. The skin overall just looks looks really nice and healthy and lovely. This feels very lightweight and breathable on the skin. This is just a really flattering foundation. Every time I wear it, I do feel like my skin just looks nice. This is also long wearing. I really looked hard for some long wearing options in this video, and I feel like I can get a good 10 to 12 hour day out of this foundation. This is a great option from the drugstore for any skin type. If you're looking for something that has just a natural soft finish that's lightweight and long wearing. I have another drugstore option here that gives light to medium coverage, but we have a different finish. This is the Essence Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation that I have raved about several times here on my channel. This is $6.99 for 1.05 ounces. There are 15 shades, and I'm in the shade 70 Warm Cashew. This has a slightly runny texture to it. It's also supposed to be hydrating because it has hyaluronic acid and aloe vera. This applies quickly and easily and looks great on the pores. Again, this is buildable from light to medium and gives a soft, radiant finish. Because it had that radiant finish, I was just skeptical if it was going to last on my oily T-zone because a lot of radiant foundations just don't. This is stunningly beautiful on the skin. It feels lightweight, very lightweight. I can't even feel this foundation. Now, I do get a little bit of shine in my T-zone. I can blot a couple of times a day and touch up with blotting powder and I'm good to go. My makeup looks great all day long, and this does last a full day. It's super skin-like, beautiful on the skin. It gives a soft, radiant finish. It's lightweight and long wearing. Again, another one that's great for any skin type. Even those of you who have oily skin, I think would really enjoy this if you want something that's radiant. And maybe you've tried other radiant foundations and they've made you look like an oil slick throughout the day. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with this. Now, I've talked about how this is a dupe for another product. So that product is technically a face tint or a tinted moisturizer and is going to be in that video. I know it's weird, they're categorized differently, but on the skin and how they function is pretty much the same. So check your subscriptions feeds if you're not already so you can see new videos since, you know, YouTube isn't really giving notifications. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, because I will be doing an update of my favorite top BB creams, CC creams, and tinted moisturizers too. That is something I need to do for the summertime. This is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better Foundation Plus Skincare. This is $39.50 for 1 ounce. There are 40 shades, and I'm in the shade 32 medium warm. So this claims to improve your skin after wearing it for 2 weeks. I haven't tried that yet because I try so many foundations, but if any of you have and have seen that skin improvement, leave that in the comments down below. This has hyaluronic acid, aloe vera extract, plus vitamins E and B5. This has a slightly runny texture. It also applies quickly and easily. I would say this has light medium to medium buildable texture. I mean, this is for me a straight up medium coverage foundation. This claims to be radiant and hydrating. I don't think it's radiant though. Even when I don't set it, I think it's a soft radiant finish. When I set it and my makeup's done, I think it gives maybe a demi matte, a soft matte finish. It's definitely not radiant like the Estee Lauder foundation from earlier, but I do think it provides all day hydration. My skin feels really nice when I wear this, but it feels lightweight. I don't feel it on the skin. This looks beautiful in the pores. It doesn't settle into any weird areas. If I don't mention that about a foundation, that pretty much means it doesn't do that. This is not one of the long wearing foundations of this bunch. If I don't use a setting spray, I would say I can get about a half a day's wear out of this. I do have to use a primer and a setting spray to get a full day of wear, but when it does wear away, no matter what, I feel like it wears away gracefully. You know, I keep saying this is another one that any skin type could wear, but I'm realizing that pretty much every foundation that I have in this video is good for any skin type, so I probably should have just said that up front. This is another one that any skin type could wear, but I would say one that I would reserve for shorter days, but it is a great skin-like foundation. This was in my last video and it just has to be in this video. This is the La Mer Soft Fluid Long Wear Foundation. This is $135 for 1 ounce of product. There are 27 shades. I'm in the shade Linen. Now this does have, you know, some skincare ingredients in here that do give it this distinct La Mer scent. It's supposed to help bring balance to the skin and leave it visibly plumped and more hydrated. It also says that fine lines and wrinkles will look softened, the look of pores and imperfections are diminished, and it's supposed to stay true in humidity. This is a runny foundation. You know the drill. It applies quickly and easily. This is very satiny before I set it. After I set it, it turns into this beautiful second skin demi matte finish. This is so skin-like while being buildable from light to medium coverage. This is a great pore blurring foundation that's very lightweight and long wearing. It's also another one that's great for any skin type. There's a reason why people who love this love it as much as they do. It just looks so gorgeous and healthy on the skin. This looks like it's full because I shook it up so it's coating the sides of the bottle. It's not. I do try to not reserve this for special occasions because it is just, you know, so pretty. It's one of those where, you know, you don't want to just use it on any old day, but it does make your skin just look that good and that healthy. So if you're wanting a luxury foundation that looks like skin and lasts all day and feels great and has great anti-aging benefits, skin benefiting ingredients, you may want to look into La Mer. On the other end of the pricing spectrum, we have the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. There are 40 shades. I am in the shade Vanilla. It's $14.99 for 1 ounce. This is the medium to medium full coverage foundation of the bunch, not including the Dior Backstage foundation that I talked about earlier. The texture of this has some runniness to it, but it's not super runny or super thick. It applies nicely. I would say out of all of the foundations, this one is the one that probably takes the most time to apply, even though it still applies quickly and easily. This is another one that looks nice on the pores, but not amazing. But once everything is said and done, I do think the overall makeup just turns out really beautiful and skin-like. I don't find it to be matte, but it's not radiant either. It's just a great, soft, natural finish that can look like skin depending on how you apply it. If you apply too much of this, or if you use the wrong method, like I wouldn't use my fingers, it can go into makeup-y territory. I like to apply a very sheer layer using a very damp sponge and then layer it only where I need it, if that's needed at all, because it does give such great coverage even with a small amount. It melts with the skin nicely. It's really pretty. It's really flattering. It feels good on the skin. I can go a really long day and have my makeup looking great wearing this foundation. Now, I do have to blot a couple of times a day, but my makeup doesn't break down. This is another great option if you're wanting something from the drugstore that gives a beautiful skin-like finish, but a little bit more coverage than the options we talked about earlier. And if you're looking for something that is just really bulletproof. I really tried to avoid having two foundations in here from the same brand, but I could not leave out the Dior Airflash foundation. It is so stunningly pretty and so skin-like. This can take me all the way from light coverage to full coverage and still look like skin, very similar to Dior Backstage, but in a completely different way. There are 2.3 ounces in this can and it is $62. There are 24 shades. I'm in the shade 300. This is supposed to give very flattering, radiant, full coverage because it's got these light diffusing pigments in it. It's also supposed to be water resistant and great for any skin type. Now, I do have a dedicated foundation review to this. I'll link it down below. I do not spray this directly on my face. I apply it to the back of my hand and dip my sponge in it. It applies very quickly. I can use any primer with it. Initially, I think it looks very satiny on the skin, and some of you may really love that. I set it down with powder as I normally do for my T-zone's sake, and once my makeup is done, it gives me this gorgeous demi matte finish that is so skin-like and stunning. It just looks smooth and airbrushed no matter if I'm putting on a tiny amount or if I'm building it up to full coverage. I can't figure out what kind of magic Dior puts in their foundations, or at least these two that I've talked about in this video, that allow them to mesh so seamlessly with the skin and build up without looking like they're building up on the skin. I mean, they truly look like a second skin, and yet they still will build up in coverage. It's just, I cannot figure it out. This is what I call the Hollywood foundation. I feel like, you know, when you see those Hollywood stars and they just have that airbrushed looking skin, this gives you that. However, this is not going to give you that long wear that you get from Dior Backstage or, you know, some of the other foundations in this video. I would say I get about 8 hours out of this max, but if you're looking for something for a special event, for photography, for film, this is perfect. Now, I do get a little bit shiny in my T-zone during that span of times. I would say maybe twice. I can blot with a blotting sheet and touch up with blotting powder. It takes care of it. My makeup still stays intact. This is such such a gorgeous skin-like foundation that can be perfect for specific occasions. And you know, not all of us need a foundation that's going to last 12 or 14 hours. This is so beautiful and so different from most of the foundations in this video. I definitely had to put it in here. Sometimes I forget about this one for my top foundations list because the application's a little bit different, and it needs to be mentioned more because it is fantastic. I recently updated my top favorite bronzers, which is perfect for summertime. I'll have that linked here if you haven't seen it. And stay tuned for more top foundations videos coming up. I'll be updating those because a lot has changed since I did my last ones. If you're not subscribed, be sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of the family. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!